In terms of the public history module, this is a second year undergraduate history module, and it's designed to explore the interface between history professionals, be they academics, teachers, filmmakers, museum curators and so on, program makers, and the general public. So in this module, we take students down into Bristol, we take them to MShed, the Museum of the History of Bristol, we take them to the Bristol Museum and Art Gallery, and they get a chance to talk to curators, so they get a chance to talk to people who are professionals working in that area. We're getting them to think like effectively customers in a business. We also get them to think about the commercial side of things, thinking about museums as businesses as well. A large part of the assessment of this module is a film. So we break them down into groups and then make a short film about some aspect of the module that's interested them. The third year module, which is called History in the Public Space, but which we normally refer to as a placement module, it's a work placement. So basically students who've done the public history module, they work with a museum such as here. This is the Glenside Museum at Glenside campus, a museum devoted to the history of the treatment of mental health. So they work here or they work at other museums, exploring some of the topics that we dealt with in the second year, but also helping them to think more about things like working with businesses, developing a more commercial approach to things, thinking about funding. I mean, one of the things about a place like Glenside is that it's really run on a shoestring by volunteers. So they're thinking about that. Here we are in Glenside Museum. Steph, Nick, you're two students who are currently involved in the placement module, but you also did the public history module last year. Would you like to tell us something about your reactions, first of all, to that public history module last year? Says Steph.
Sure. The public history module allowed us to view museums as a business and realise as a customer and a service we need to give to the customer. It allowed us to take ourselves out of the academic space and allow a wider audience and communication.
Yeah, Nick.
I mean, the main focus for me was the presentation at the end, that we focused directly towards a public audience and figuring out time management and actually working towards presenting something to a customer rather than necessarily an academic.
So, you know, it was a good experience.
Great experience, yeah. It's definitely led on to third year.
Yeah, and leading on to the third year. So here we are in Glenside Museum, where you're doing your placements. Any thoughts so far? But we're at a very early stage, aren't we, in the placement? But any thoughts so far about that?
It's allowed us to put second year into practice, like where we had the audience, now we have the audience in front of us and the customers in front of us, and trying to relay the museum and the artifacts around and how it's best displayed to them and how we can best get the information across to them.
Yeah, it's great to be finally working with the audience and actually getting some hands-on experience working in a museum and looking at cataloguing and their research projects and grants and things like that.
Yeah, and you might well be working on grants, because one of the things that a museum like this needs to do is to get money in, obviously, and that's quite a difficult problem, I think. And then thinking about the assessment for this module, which maybe you don't want to do, but again, you're going to have to do a half-hour presentation each, first of all to the rest of the group, but also, I think, also to people here, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to need to learn how to project ourselves across to them by giving them help in how they might improve, but in a nicer way, not to.
Yeah, so it's a kind of appropriate level of communication and so on. And also, you're also writing a report on your experience, which I want you to think about this in terms of being a consultant as well.
Yeah, I think the idea is we come in and we look at how we can improve. So we work on our research projects and at the same time see what we can give to the museum and how we can improve it and put what we learn about public interpretation into practice here.
Yeah. And the big question, which you may not want to answer, but are you enjoying it so far?
Very
Definitely.
much, yes.
Yeah. Good.